You know, it's funny. I normally have a hat on, and we're on vacation, and I forgot my hat, and I feel naked. And we are live across all the platforms. Dr. Akin, how are you, sir?
Very well.
Thank you for joining me today.
You bet. My
Folks,
pleasure.
welcome to this live stream, the Dr. Tiffany Marie and Jim live stream, and Dr. Tiffany is out. I know they're getting a lot of messages, people wondering if she's okay. Dr. Tiffany is just fine. She's had some obligations that she had to deal with. You know, she's a doctor, and you guys are busy people. But here's the deal. We have a lot of doctors who are out talking about this system. And I don't have to go very far to find very qualified people to talk about it. And I brought in Dr. Eric Akin. Actually, I shouldn't say I brought in. I invited Dr. Akin, and Dr. Akin graciously accepted without really any hesitation. I love your passion for this system, Doctor. So let me go ahead and introduce myself. Folks, welcome to the live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I love saying that I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I have completely reversed type 2 diabetes, as in I had at one point a 12.2% A1C. I now have a completely unmedicated 4.8%. I've been unmedicated since February of 23, so coming up on 22 months now. And it's pretty awesome. I love being able to say that. I went to social media to start talking about how I did that, and it was through the field grade system, which we're going to talk a lot about tonight. And along the way, I have met a lot of wonderful people like Dr. Akin, and then a lot of other people like the testimonials that we're going to bring into here tonight. And it's been an absolutely amazing ride, Doctor. I'm sure you got similar stories to tell, just the same. This is a pre-Thanksgiving kind of special. We've got 2 testimonials coming up, one of which I've never met myself. I'm really excited to hear his story. But Dr. Akin, would you introduce, I mean, I know you very well. I have all the respect in the world for you, but this audience here doesn't, maybe they know who you are, but chances are they don't. Would you do us a favor and introduce yourself? Tell us what your background is, what your education is, what your specialties are.
Yeah, so I am a board certified neurosurgeon, and my name is Dr. Eric Akin, and I come from a family of physicians. So my father was a physician, my uncle was an ophthalmologist, my dad was a general surgeon. I have a number of other family members who are involved with medicine at other levels. And so I've grown up around doctors and hospitals and patients all my life. And so I have seen things change in time also during that time frame, from being a child and rounding with my dad to being, going through my own training, and now watching further evolution of what's happening to people and medicine over a 25-year career so far. And it's remarkable because, back in the 70s, some of the money that my father was making for my future college education was from working on diabetic feet. Sometimes there would be an amputation necessary, or a debridement of a foot, or that sort of thing. But it was not anywhere near, the bulk of his practice. And as time went, the prevalence of those type of surgeries started going up and up and up. It used to be mostly gallbladder surgeries. And later down the line, it got to be a lot of this diabetes type of work. And so I became interested in this because my dad got diabetes. And you should know that 50% of physicians are overweight. And we are, by the studies, only slightly better at keeping ourselves out of metabolic disease than the general public. So we're just as susceptible. And this shows you that even despite our knowledge about what's happening and how to stay out of it, and many people actually aren't that knowledgeable who are physicians actually, but there are forces at play to get you to do the wrong thing. to eat improperly, and they are strong forces. The food companies, and I'm going to get into that in just a second in this presentation, but you're up against a formidable adversary and you need some help. If you think that you're going to navigate our what has now become a very harsh food environment without some assist, then well, you better have an extraordinary willpower, or you're going to need some tools to help you along the way, and we have some now. And fortunately, they're safe tools to use.
Hostile food, as you said, harsh. I thought hostile food environment because it really is hostile.
It is. I
Everything
mean,
around you is
you,
it's
you,
traumatic.
you've got to learn to adapt. It's just like the cactus. It lives out in a harsh environment. So the cactus has adapted so that it opens its pores to draw in water at nighttime while it's cool. And so it survived. And if you don't learn how to adapt to this food environment, well, you're going to expire sooner than you should, and you're going to be miserable on the way out. It's not just about extending your life, it's feeling good while you're alive. So how do you want to spend your time?
You just mentioned amputations. Some people say, it's going to happen sooner or later anyway. But
Yeah.
man, sometimes it doesn't happen just like that. Sometimes it's chopping down the tree little by
Yeah.
little. And I think, truthfully, that's really what is happening to the people. They're just
Oh yeah.
steadily getting more and more sick.
Oh yeah.
And it's awful. It's an awful place to be. So, I want to throw this out to everybody who's coming in. We'll see the comment section. Everybody can see the comment section is clearly going crazy. What that is that is a lot of people who are inviting people into here. This is an opportunity to listen to Dr. Eric Akin, which, Doctor, I think I cut you off. I don't think I got to your qualifications.
Okay.
I'm going to
Yeah.
come to them, but if you've been invited into here, this is an opportunity for you to listen to Dr. Akin. I'm going to hand the microphone back to him to finish his introduction. I jumped in too soon. I'm sorry. But if you've been invited into here, if you've been invited into this live stream, listen. The person that invited you into here thinks that you could benefit from this conversation. And this conversation is free. It doesn't cost you anything whatsoever. It may just change your life. It may just save your life. So with that being said, Doctor, I jumped in and didn't allow you to finish I apologize. Whoa.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, so I think I made it past that. I've been practicing now for about 25 years, and yeah, I've done really everything in this career that I've wanted to do, and a lot that I didn't. A lot that I'm seeing now is I'm seeing people in their 40s. Every now and then, somebody in their late 30s with a cerebral hemorrhage. That's how I get involved on the back end at the end stages of metabolic disease, because they get high blood pressure and then they blow a gasket in their brain, and then and they'll call me to come deal with that. And so it's amazing, the statistics. I think it was Descartes, the one that was famous for saying, "I think, therefore I am." He said he also was a proponent of thinking mathematically. And he said, you can solve all your life's problems with math. So if you just start looking at the math behind who dies early, and looking at those statistics, if you're in your mid 30s, there's like it's a huge number. It's like a 55% chance that you could be disabled for up to 5 years over the next, 10, 15, 20 years. And the older you get, the lower that stat goes down, by the way. It's kind of counterintuitive, but because you got more time ahead of you, you see, and less time as you get older. But that's 50 something percent. That is a huge likelihood that you could be disabled up to 5 years. And the vast majority of people who are ending up disabled is on account of complications of metabolic syndrome, or basically from what they're eating is what's causing the vast majority of this disability. Some, it could be trauma and that sort of thing, but a lot of people are having strokes and things that were completely within their control to avoid. And I don't want you to feel that it's a sign of weakness. I'm not, and that's been a problem in the past, doctors making judgment on patients and just saying, well, if they would take care of themselves, and kind of putting the onus on you without really having an understanding of what forces are at play against people and even them. I mean, people got a fat doctor telling them they need to lose weight, you know? So it's clear that many of us don't have as a good understanding. Us physicians don't have the understanding that we should have.
Well, and you made a comment a little bit ago that what was the number of physicians who are?
Yeah, 50% are overweight, and it's we probably this was just one study though, so I can't imagine that there isn't very close to the same obesity rate and overweight rate among physicians, and definitely across all healthcare providers. I'm sure it's very similar to the general public, maybe only slightly better is what I've been seeing.
So something I've asked, and I get ready. I don't. Something I asked Dr. Tiffany, and I also asked Dr. Midgen Brown. I'm going to ask you now, because you just said this is kind of something that you ate your way into in a roundabout way, right?
Yeah.
How many hours of nutrition courses did you, as a neurosurgeon, have to take?
I was trying to think back on how much we learned or how long of a time that we spent in med school on this. It wasn't that long. I don't remember exactly how many weeks. However, I have recently, even though I'm a neurosurgeon, I'm now in the process of becoming a certified ketogenic nutrition specialist. And as I'm going through that coursework, I'm not encountering any new information that I didn't already know, maybe a few things, but the general concepts, the biochemistry of metabolism and all that, none of that's new. I think a lot of it though was the way it was presented to us, and so the amount of information that you're learning in med school it's a fairly it's a large body of knowledge that you got to learn in a fairly short amount of time. But the way they presented it, and I'm going to touch on that in this little presentation here in just a second, to explain.
What I want to do, doctors, I want to get to James. And James, you went to TikTok and you started talking about this on TikTok. And you've amassed quite the following. I think you've got a bigger following on Instagram. Is that right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've got I don't know how many, several 65, 70,000 people over there. So a total of about 150,000 across several platforms.
Okay. And you've been talking about Feel Great Now for quite a while, and I'm going to hand off the baton for the introduction here. But one of the people that came across you was named James, right? And so why don't you go ahead and introduce James, and I will bring James into the picture here.
Sure. So this is James Cox. James and I met, unfortunately, in the hospital. His mother was a patient of mine at the time. And so that's how he and I became friends. And since this time, James has had an extraordinary story and response to his own efforts at trying to change his metabolism, getting command of his, really taking the reins on his health. And I'm going to let him tell the story. But this is a very inspirational story that you're going to want to hear.
Yeah, and I apologize. I got it wrong. I thought it's new to me. I've never met James before 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to give the wrong introduction there. I assumed you found Dr. Akin on social media. So never mind. I'm going to minimize Dr. Akin, and James, you got the show, bud.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Name is James Cox. I live in the Atlanta area and native of Arkansas. And Dr. Aiken said, that's how we met. He was my mother's neurosurgeon and performed a biopsy on her back in March. And when I was vetting him out as a neurosurgeon, I came across his Instagram profile and I started following it. And then, we were primary caregivers for her. and she passed away early in June. And she was 80 years old when she passed, and she was the healthiest person I ever knew in my life. She lived a full life up until she was 80. She was walking 2 miles a day last summer. She was still doing her own yard work, and I was about to turn 50, and I was caring for her, the strongest person I ever knew. And I just kind of saw myself. I thought, I don't know that I'm going to make it to 60 if I'm going to go to, if I don't make some changes. So I visited my local doctor, and he was wanting to put me on Wegovy because I was borderline type 2, pre-type 2 diabetic, and then I just never could lose weight. Whatever I tried to do, I could never lose that high packed visceral fat. I thought it was because maybe I drank a lot of alcohol. Used to drink beer. I quit, been a year and a half sober. That couldn't shake it. I did a month of carnivore at the first of the year before we found out about my mom's diagnosis. And I was at my biggest in 2018. I was at 350, but I could never really get below 310. And then I was probably about 335 when I started this program in July. And I was real skeptical of it. I've tried other things in the past and nothing ever worked, but I just thought, as I got to know Dr. Akin more, I had a connection with him from my mom, and he remembered her, just started using the product. And within 2 weeks, I was hooked. And then went 90 days in September. I had went from 335 to right at 300 pounds. Now I had never been below 300 pounds, probably since 2015. There was nothing I could do. I would plateau at 305, could never get to 305. Now today on the scale, I'm at 276. So I'm right at 60 pounds lost since July 8th. And my quality of life is remarkably better. I'm no longer that big, high pack visceral fat. That was just, I one day I just out of the blue apologized to my wife. And she's probably, 5'5". She's a smaller lady. And she said, "Why are you apologizing?" I said, "Because I just realize now when we go to the beach or when we would go to the mountains, just how much work you would have to do because I was just physically, not capable of doing that." So yeah, it's been truly, truly life changing for me. And the great thing about it is I've got 60 more pounds I'm gonna go get. I mean, I'm not anywhere done. I mean, I can no longer wear the suit that I wore to my mother's funeral because it's fallen off of me, and I'm not gonna get that thing taken to the tailor yet because I'm gonna get it right, get the body right. But it's just been truly, truly life changing for me. It's given me fitness goals and just a health and a quality of life that I never really thought would be imaginable, especially at 50 years old. I actually told Dr. Akin when I was at 300 that I felt better at 300 on the Feel Great system than I did at 270 uh 15 years ago when I was walking 7 miles a day and really, really active. And so now that I'm really got the nutrition down, I'm focused in on the exercise, and yeah, it's truly been amazing. I can't say enough about it.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
20% of his body weight lost. That's pretty
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
it's massive.
And when I went into this, and when I truly went into this, I was looking at it strictly from a weight loss perspective
Right.
because really and I've had some blood pressure issues. I had been on some statins, but I always was a guy who really tried not to get myself on pharmaceuticals a whole lot if I could keep from it. I would try to, but I'm telling you, this it's been unlike anything I've ever used. And I just really want everybody else to kind of get on board with it and take control of their health because it's truly amazing, truly amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So something I like to kind of, and I'll jump over and let Dr. Akin ask some questions of you, but something that just stands out to me, and those who know me or those who have followed me know that one of my favorite things about this is it seems to restore hope and maybe a little bit of help when people feel like they're hopeless or helpless. That seems to be restored with this system, and it sounds like maybe I'm leading you here, and I don't mean to, but it seems like maybe you felt like you were a little bit there, and now you're just you don't feel that anymore. Is that close?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I tried, I got on the low carb train early, and 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I kind of saw the benefits of not eating a lot of carbohydrates, but I never could really like fully embrace that because and to also talk a little bit about my background, I've worked around the food industry for 30 years, all right? So I've know very well what, how food has been processed and what we take into our bodies and not saying anything bad against the food industry. There's a lot of great people out there who do a lot of good things every day. But I think when you look at super processed foods, I mean, just what's going into our bodies. I mean, Dr. Akin ruined breakfast sausage for me. I love just some good old country breakfast sausage. And he was like, "Hey man, that's got MSG in it. You better go check that stuff out." Now I kind of feel a little guilt when I eat. So but no, it has given me a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that I wanted to do physically when I was younger. I grew up, a sports junkie, sports nerd, playing sports and just there was a lot of fitness stuff that I wanted to do from a hiking, standpoint that I thought that when I got, to this point that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And now I see that, there's a lot of things I plan to do, in the near future physically that I wasn't able to.
I love
How's your thinking? I mean, what have you noticed?
My thinking as far as just my
How clear have you noticed any
oh
changes in the
yeah, oh
acuity of your
absolutely.
thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. I very I for me, I made a post the other day about the dangers of sugar. I think I might have made it on one of my social medias today about uh, I went on a trip recently to the Smoky Mountains, and everywhere I walked around there was food, and I never realized how bad they got us addicted to food. And now I look at sugar the same way that I look at the nicotine and the alcohol that I used to put in my body, because we went to a pancake place. We ate some pancakes, and they were really good. But then, probably within an hour, like I was sluggish.
Yeah.
Like I had, I got up, I'd walk 3 miles, I got my metabolism up, I drank a balance before my breakfast. It did everything right, because I just wanted to have ate some protein, ate the small pancakes, and immediately I just started feeling it here before I felt it anywhere else. It was just like a brain fog had come over me from eating those carbohydrates and that syrup and those pancakes. So
Okay, so what I want to do is, James, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn your camera off, and I'd like to transition over to Dr. Akin. Dr. Akin has a slideshow or a presentation that he's going to show everybody here. But James, I'd like you to kind of hang out backstage if you don't mind, and I'm going to bring everybody back out at the end. If anybody has any questions directly of you, do you mind hanging out for me?
not a problem.
All right, brother.
Absolutely.
Dr. Akin. Let's see here. James, Dr. Akin.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the deal? Why it's one thing for me to say, oh, this is like magical powder stuff. No, it's not that. What exactly is it? Why is this thing so incredibly effective?
So, and I know we're talking a lot about weight loss, but this product technically is not a weight loss product. What it does do is it makes it easier for you to eat properly, eat the way that you need to eat. And so it helps to sort of control the carb cravings. It does have a feature to it that allows you to suppress your appetite, similar to any appetite suppression. Appetite suppression is not a new thing. Everybody acts like the semaglutides are this wow new idea. It's not. We just been using other chemicals to do it. But one thing, and semaglutides are absolutely no different than this other approaches, in that if you discontinue the semaglutide, you will regain the weight. You'll go right back to where you were, and then probably add some. And by the way, you'll also be less metabolically flexible after doing that, unless you adopt a proper pattern of eating. And so, this unbridled use of the Ozempics and Mounjaro and Wegovy, without simultaneously training somebody. And honestly, I think the biggest sin of them all is to operate on them, doing a gastric bypass, a gastric sleeve, a Roux-en-Y. These major rerouting of intestines with potentially fatal complications, without them understanding that you still have to change the way you eat, or else it comes back. And so, the bottom line is, you cannot eat. You can only eat your way out of this problem. You can't surgery your way out of it. You can't pill your way out of it. There's only one way out, is the way you eat. By the way that you eat is your single biggest risk factor for death and disease in this world. Okay. So death and disease, if you're looking at it from an epidemiologic standpoint, scientifically speaking, what you choose to eat on a day-to-day basis in the long run ends up being your largest risk factor for death. For the vast majority of us. Now, there's some of us that, there's exceptions, people with genetic disorders and that sort of thing, but those are very few of us. Those of us with psychological issues may be more likely to die from other issues than what they're eating. But for the vast majority of people, apart from those special situations, what you're eating every day is your biggest risk factor. So you should give some attention to that, And what we've done as a nation is we have lowered our standard about that. We've adopted this culture of the YOLO lifestyle. You only live once. Life's too short to eat bad food or to eat boring food or whatever. Every meal's got to be this experience, And it doesn't mean that you can't eat food that tastes great. It just means you need to recalibrate your expectations from meals most of the time. There's also a joy to be had in learning restraint. It's confidence building. And there's a certain part of the population with a personality that they just like to feel like they're a little better than everybody else. And if you're one of those people, you can certainly feel that way if you take on a better style of eating. And so you'll certainly look better, you'll feel better, but you can have the confidence of knowing that you've mastered the skill of eating right, no matter who you are. So we need to reverse that culture, this YOLO lifestyle, and return to becoming more prudent and seeing the value in that. Because how do you want to spend your time while you're here? I mean, don't you want to feel good? Those brief moments of this indulgence in food all day, every day, it's just brief. But the way that you feel eating the right way goes on all day long, every day. And the illnesses that you get from viruses and everything else last much shorter. They don't feel as bad. You're able to take on a lot more stress just because you feel so much better. Your mind is clear. It's just a better way to live your life. So,
yeah.
All right. Am I queued up to?
You are queued up. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I realized I queued you up a little bit early.
Okay, that's fine.
But I've been looking at a really cool picture and listening to you talk at the same time.
All right. So speaking about the past, there's three things that killed humans long ago, more than what's killing us now. So in the past, it was war. The big three killers were war. Let me see if I can click on this. Famine, basically not enough food, starving, and infectious disease. Those are the big three killers of humans in long ago. But we have since, for the most part, not everywhere in the world, but for the most part, we've conquered these three big problems. And now it is this. This is what is killing more people than anything else on earth right now. And we're seeing this trend. This is the overweight. So there's the yellow is overweight, the orange is obese, and then now we're inventing new categories of obesity because people are becoming so large. We've never seen people quite this large before. incidentally, if you wonder why do we categorize it, it's because your risk of death and disease is going up with each category. Okay. And so notice that the yellow, the overweight here, the percentage is staying the same. It's not because there's not more overweight people there. It's because they're passing through this into these stages. Okay. So these are growing. They've essentially tripled since the last 40 or 50 years. With this, you're seeing the similar trend in people getting diabetes, insulin resistance. So this is what I'm going to explain to you a little bit. A lot of people fuzzily understand diabetes, too much sugar in the blood, right? But you don't really understand all of the implications of that. And long before you have diabetes, you have pre-diabetes. And you could have pre-diabetes for decades before you become a diabetic. And all of it is inflicting damage on you. You just don't realize it. Okay. And so a lot of this was elucidated. I was talking about the harsh food environment. This book right here by Michael Moss called Salt, Sugar, Fat. He really explains how much of an adversary that the ultra processed food companies are to you. You got to understand this is a $1 trillion business. So just think, trillion is such a huge number. Humans have a hard time getting their head around what is a trillion. So think of it like this. If a million millionaires, 1 million millionaires got together and pooled their money and started trying to concoct ways to get you to eat more money or eat more food, and they've got essentially an unlimited budget to pay all of the scientists that they need to figure out what works to get you to eat more. And by the way, they're not like the pharmaceutical industry that will fudge their results to make them look better than they are. These guys actually want to know the truth of the research. Okay. And their research is dead accurate. And they want to make sure that, but pharmaceutical companies will do the research and they'll make it look like things were better than they actually were so they can sell some pills. So these guys really know how to do research, probably better than the pharmaceutical company. Sugar. My daughter is insisting on calling me right now. Hang on just 1 second. Honey, I'm on a live call right now in front of, I don't know how many people. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Sorry. I'll call you right back. All right. So sometimes she won't take no for an answer. So sugar is in 74% of the foods in the grocery store. Now, if you went back to a Red food store or a Kroger back in 1970, there was about 15,000 different items in the grocery store back then. Today, there's 40,000 different items in your average grocery store. So they're really branching out, mostly trying to compete on convenience, and convenience equals highly processed. It also means longer shelf life for you, and longer shelf life means more dollars to them and worse health to you. So they're literally using the scientific method to make the foods as addictive as possible. Here's a little bit of research. This package, the way it's designed, is based on some very hardcore scientific research. So notice on this packet, there is 6 cookies on the package. Why didn't they just put 1? I mean, how many times do you need to see it in order to know what an Oreo mini looks like? There is a reason why they put 6 and not 1 or 2 or 3, because the research that they did found that you will eat like 20% more cookies, and you'll think that there's more cookies in the bag that actually is. They found this through the focus groups that they were researching. So you will eat more, and when you are not satisfied with it, you'll kind of feel like you got more cookies than was actually in the bag. So I'm telling you, they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Now, right now, sugar is killing 16 times more people than bullets worldwide. Now, just my own brief experience with this product that we've been talking about, the Feel Great system. This is me 7 years ago. This is basically what I was looking like 2 years ago, just before I started the Feel Great system. I was at about 35-36% body fat in this picture. Look at that nice little neck roll and these love handle and everything.
I think it's called a dad bod.
Yes. And so this was about 4 months after the fact. Now, this didn't happen. I want to make clear why this happened. This product was an assist to helping me do what I needed to do in order to shed this weight, to start burning that fat instead of trying to burn a bunch of sugar that I was putting into my body. So this was actually the thinnest I ever got on this. I got down to 15%. I started getting a little gaunt in the face, so I had to like recalibrate and liberalize my calories intentionally, because now I have complete control over my hunger. That's the key, is controlling the hunger. And that's what I felt like this product did in order to, help me do this. So insulin resistance is the big problem. It is the scourge of human health today. And it's what eating a lot of sugar every day for a long period of time results in. And so it affects about up to 93% of really everyone now, including children. I put adults here, but actually a North Carolina study shows that basically only about 7% of US adults are actually metabolically healthy. And high insulin in your bloodstream very often is what causes a slew of other problems. So I was going to touch on this just a minute ago. You had asked me about how long did we study nutrition in med school. And these diseases, diabetes, cholesterol problems, high blood pressure, overweight, heart disease, all of these things are the end result of eating too much sugar for a long period of time. In med school, I felt like we received a lot of information and we're moving through it pretty quick. But we learned diabetes as a single disease, like it's in its own lane. It's not connected to anything else. Diabetes is diabetes. It's got its own set of medicines. That's it. And then we learned cholesterol, and it's got its set of medicines. And each one of these, but really we should have been learning these as though they are all parts of a whole. They're a constellation of things that happen from the same origin. And it was actually a British naval surgeon a long time ago that figured out that this was the case, that eating too much refined carbohydrates and sugar was resulting in all of these things. And he was British. So when he first presented this, everybody thought in the past, something causes this, and then something causes this, and this has its own cause. No, not all the same. And when they heard him saying this, they're like, good God, man, why do you think that this could all come from the same thing? You're an idiot. And then it wasn't until Dr. Burkitt, he's actually famous for something else. He discovered a type of lymphoma. We call it Burkitt's lymphoma. But he was a well-respected doctor at the time. Everybody's laughing at the doctor that actually discovered this. All comes from the same thing. But Burkitt was an epidemiologist. He didn't believe him either, but he applied epidemiology to figure out, is this guy right? And he turned out he was right. So when Burkitt put his stamp of approval on this, now finally people started to listen. But until that time, people kept calling him the fiber man, saying that he was an idiot. He kept talking about eating more fiber and bran, so they're calling him the fiber man. So in the United States, we're getting 5% of our calories from corn, 19% from wheat, flour. My cat in the way. All right. Rice, only 1%. I was shocked to hear that. And sugar, 14.5%. So total is we're getting 40% of our calories from refined carbohydrates. That's a lot. That's way too much. And we're only getting about 12% of our calories from like complex carbs, complex sources of carbohydrates. So just so you understand what is happening, why it's a problem, with the processing that causes the problem for us metabolically, here is a wheat grain. And in nature, it has this outer part called the shaft. That's actually where the fiber is. But what they do is they use machines to first separate out the germ. You ever seen like a bag of wheat germ? And this is the reason they take it out, because if you stored wheat with the germ still in it, it starts to stink pretty bad. If you ever stuck your nose into my mom used to have wheat germ in our pantry when I was a kid, and I smelled it one time. I was like, this is disgusting. So it can go bad. So what they do is they take the germ out, which is what has the nutrients in it. And then Big Pharma supplies them with those nutrients to enrich the flour. That's when you see the bread is enriched. That means that Big Pharma made a dime selling the nutrients back to the bread makers to put it back into the bread. because they've separated out the germ. They separate off the fiber, and all you're getting, the last part is called the endosperm. That's cake. Okay. That's what's left is cake and biscuits. So when you separate the fiber from the cake and biscuits, then you will have a surge in your insulin whenever you eat this stuff. If the fiber is still on there, if we were eating these whole grains together with the cake, the insulin doesn't surge so high. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. So here, this is a little video that's going to show you whenever you eat these carbs, the pancreas here is going to jettison out a bunch of insulin. Okay. The insulin goes into the bloodstream, and these are the little glucose molecules. And see, so the glucose can't enter into your cells without the insulin's action. Okay. So now I'm going to go to this next video, show you what happens when the insulin binds to its receptor on your cells. If I can get to the next video. So here's an insulin receptor. The insulin binds to the insulin receptor, and it's like this mechanized door that opens, allowing sugar to go into the cell and out of your bloodstream. Okay. But the problem is, if you are continuously eating a lot of sugar all day, every day, number one, that door lock doesn't work so well. It gets janky and it can't twist and open the lock. And the mechanism on the inside of the cell that allows for the transport of sugar into the cell, it gets janky. It's like think of it as like an elevator or a dumbwaiter that transfers the sugar into the cell, and it gets all janky and it can't bring the sugar in. So the sugar just starts hanging out in your bloodstream. It gets turned into other toxic substances that are toxic to your cells, your kidneys, your nerves, and everything else. So let me go to the next thing. If I can get off. All right. This is another illustration of this. Insulin binding to the insulin receptor, opening a door, letting the blood glucose, the glucose go into the cell. From there, if you're over consuming sugar and refined carbs, particularly fructose, though, okay, what happens is this sugar is converted into fat inside the cell, and you only need, if you're getting way too many calories, you don't need any more. So your body has a mechanism to turn that sugar into fat. Now, fructose, which is a part of the table sugar. Okay. So table sugar is made of two parts. I don't know if I got a picture of it in here or not. I don't know why this won't advance. So table sugar is made of glucose plus fructose. So fructose is only metabolized by your liver. Glucose can go to any cell in your body. It can go in your brain, you can go to your nerve cells, your muscle cells, skin, fat, whatever. But fructose, 95% of it goes to your liver. It can only really be metabolized there. And when fructose is just crammed into your liver, and okay, if it's crammed into your liver, that's where we start to see this insulin resistance start happening. So so that's how insulin resistance gets started, is when the liver gets full of fat from all the fructose. So I think this is you start to see these characteristic parts of the body where the fat starts to grow in resulting from overconsumption of sugar. All right, that's enough about insulin resistance. I think I've gone over time. I'm going to get off. I'm going to back off now. Sorry.
No. It's
roll.
good.
All right.
I love this. At the end of the day, our cells are resistant to the insulin, and the glucose doesn't go in, and this leads to metabolic dysfunction. This leads to fat, type 2 diabetes, type 3 diabetes. It was interesting about Dr. Burkett. I didn't realize that he was the piece there. I've actually followed Dr. Burkett as well. Well, the work of Dr. Burkett, he is long since gone, but
yeah.
Hey, I want to introduce our next guest. And before I introduce our next guest, I want to say, if you are, by the way, thank you. If you've been tagged into here and this sounds like something that you're interested in trying, get with the person who invited you to this live stream, and they will tell you how to order the product. They have a discount code. You'll use their discount code to become a member of the manufacturer, Unicity. That'll get you a lifetime discount to the product. Doctor, I think you're going to find, especially as a brain kind of guy, I think you're going to find this next guest fascinating, because it's fascinating to me, because I've honestly wrestled with kind of some of the same demons. Her name is Stacy. Hi, Stacy. How are you? I think you're muted there.
I'm good. I'm tired.
You're driving down the road.
Well, we're actually parked. I did work last night, so I woke up yesterday at noon and then worked all night, and then we left this morning from Montana, and we're in South Dakota now, and we're almost to our destination, but I had to stop because we were running late and I had to come on here. So we're parked for a moment until this is done, and then I will go and I will get some sleep because I'm beat. So, hi.
Hi,
My name's Stacy. I'm 49 years old and I'm postmenopausal. And I just say that to start out because I was having a real struggle with menopause symptoms. Also, I'm an alcoholic, and I'll bring the reason why I mentioned that is I'll tell you in a moment. And at a certain age, I started putting on the pounds. I never really struggled with weight problems. I'd always go on, I'm older, so Atkins was a big diet that I did. I didn't know the reason why it worked or anything behind it that I know now. I didn't know about insulin resistance. I didn't know anything when I started doing this system. I kept gaining weight. I kept having horrible depression and anxiety, and I kept getting diagnosis like from different psychiatrists and psychologists that I was bipolar, and they were putting me on those meds, and they weren't working. They were making me worse because I'm not bipolar. And I just said, you know what? I don't even know what my baseline is anymore. I am miserable. My IBS was out of control too. And I got off my Prozac and I found this system. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know anything about it. I just said, I'm at my wit's end. No one's helping me. I'm going to try what I can to feel better because I was miserable and I was anxiety up to here. I was depressed. I didn't want to leave the house. It was summertime in Montana. We don't have much warm days, so I usually enjoy them, and I didn't even want to leave the house. I would go to work. It was just terrible depression. Never mind, my cravings for sugar were out of control. I was eating all the time. I was eating candy like it was going out of style. If I didn't have a bag of Sour Patch Kids by my bed at night in high chews, I would be panicking because I would need the sugar. Then I would binge drink on days. I was just really not good. So when I started doing the system, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I started feeling better quickly. Within a week, you guys, my IBS went away. Then I was like, oh my gosh, my depression is cleared within a couple of weeks. I mean, I have been on Prozac my entire adult life, pretty much. And other ones they tried in between that didn't work. And I always went back to Prozac. And I couldn't live without it because I would be too depressed. And I'm not anything, and I feel amazing. My anxiety is down. I am high strung anyway. I'm a hyper person, so that's normal for me. But the anxiety was anger and like the depression. So that's all cleared. My brain fog went away within weeks. I started slimming down. My inflammation went away. I am now down 23 pounds. My IBS went away. Depression's gone. Psoriasis in my scalp is gone. Even my little chin hairs are going away. Yay. Menopause symptoms are gone. But one crazy part of this is that I have not craved alcohol since August, and I haven't had a drink either. And I haven't felt like that. I don't even know the last time. So it's something to do with this, the chlorogenic acid maybe, or getting my GLP-1 naturally boosted. I'm not sure. I've done a little looking around. I haven't found much about it. I know other people that are doing it have noticed similar effects of not having those cravings. I don't know what the key is. I just know that I don't crave alcohol. I am not craving sugar like I was. IBS gone. And the biggest thing is my depression and my anxiety is gone because I was in a very bad place for many years on and off. And I don't even want to talk about the things that I felt in those times. And they were terrible. And I feel for anyone that has that and to have relief from that without medication. And my blood pressure is regulated too. And all that. So I'm medication free. I just take my supplements. It's been a game changer in my life. My energy is back. I feel like feel like I look younger. I feel like I do feel younger, and I have energy, and it's just amazing. And I don't know why I didn't know about this sooner. I don't know why I never heard about insulin resistance, and I don't understand like how it's such a big secret that the foods we're eating are killing us. I just don't get that. So I'm so happy that I know.
So, wow.
Yeah, that's really great.
A couple of things, and I've done a lot of looking into this. And Doctor, I'm curious what your quick thoughts are. The blood-brain barrier and insulin resistance, blood-brain barrier leakage. There's a doctor, Cynthia Calkin, and I don't know if you've heard me talk about her or not, Stacy, but Dr. Cynthia Calkin is a psychiatrist who's really done a lot of work with insulin resistance and bipolar treatment disorder. And the connection seems to be in her work, at least through the blood-brain barrier and then blood-brain barrier dysfunction. And then GLP-1 and your alcoholism. And that's something that I actually have a bit of a connection with Stacy with there. My friends would know this, and I don't typically go out and talk about it a whole lot, but I haven't had a drink since the middle of March. So about 8.5 months. And it's been relatively easy. Every now and then, you crave a glass of wine, but it's been relatively easy. And I've been looking into that myself. Like, why is this seemingly not as difficult as I thought it would be for the last 30 years? And I think the connection is in GLP-1, some of the boosting of the GLP-1. What I want to do, Stacy, is I want to shut your camera off real quick. I want to go through a quick rundown of how to use the product, folks, and how easy this really is. And then I'm going to bring Stacy and James right back into this for a quick Q&A. I know that there were a few questions that were in the comment section. I saw them. Get ready to re-ask them again because I'm going to throw them up there. I'm going to be real quick with how to use the system. Stacy, do you mind hanging out for just a few more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. You are a rock star. Okay, so folks, here's the deal. We use, how did I do this, Dr. Akin? You don't happen to have a packet handy, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you? Okay, Unimate. Okay, so here's the deal. We intermittent fast 16 hours a day, and we allow ourselves 2 meals in the remaining 8 hours a day. Now, during the fast, most of us, Doctor, do you skip breakfast?
I do, yeah.
Okay, I do too. So for me personally, I go from 8 p.m. until noon the following day without food. That's just a fasting window, and it sounds awful when you say without food. I shouldn't have said it like that, but I've already had dinner. 8 p.m. I'm full. I don't need more food. You go to sleep. You sleep off most of your fast, and then you wake up, and the level of commitment really is skipping breakfast. And instead of just, gritting your teeth and going hard on that, we drink a tea. That Unimate tea is very high in chlorogenic acid. It's a natural appetite suppressant. One of the world's leading metabolic scientists, Dr. Ben Dickman, says that it increases GLP-1 by up to 70% during a fasted state. That's a bold statement from Dr. Benjamin Dickman, Brigham Young University professor of cell biology and physiology. He heads up their laboratory of obesity and metabolism there. That's a heck of an endorsement from Dr. Ben Dickman. He's also now published research on Unimate, and the gist of the research is that it increases our body's efficiency at burning fat. Now, we drink one of those first thing in the morning. It kind of gets rid of the food noise. I think that's through the GLP-1. Chlorogenic acid has been shown to do the same thing, kind of reduces your appetite, and appetite suppression, increases appetite suppression. So you drink one of those first thing in the morning. I drink mine hot. Doctor, do you drink yours hot or cold?
Cold.
Cold. See, I drink mine hot. I've got a 30-ounce Yeti tumbler. I drink it in hot water, coffee hot. Do you drink it out of the bottle they gave you, or do you have?
Yeah, this is an example.
Drink it out of the bottle.
Right.
So they're going to send you one of those. And when that's done, just transition into a second one. Again, hot or cold, as much or as little water as you want. Usually my second one is cold, but lately as it gets into the wintertime, I'm drinking 2 hot ones. Now, That is it for that portion. And now we have a balance packet immediately before you eat your heaviest meal of the day. So if you're going to have spaghetti or pizza or a burger and fries, or maybe you're going to try and eat more sensibly, maybe you're going to try whichever meal that you choose that has the highest carbohydrate into the heaviest carb load, drink that immediately before you eat. Immediately before. Like you're in college. It comes with that little bottle. There's a line there that says balance. Fill it up with water. Give it about 6 to 8 shakes, and then chug it like you're at a frat party in college. And then enjoy your meal. And guys, that literally is the entire system. Now, that product, Balance, has been studied all over the world. It's been studied at the Cleveland Clinic, which, Doctor, you're biased, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. Is the Cleveland Clinic the top heart hospital?
Yeah, it's usually ranked number 1
Okay.
in the United States.
So they found that it could potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs, aka statins. And then the University of Sydney, Australia, which is the home of the glycemic index. If you type glycemicindex.com into your computer system, it will take you to the University of Sydney. That's because they maintain the international database and website for the glycemic index. The lady that's in charge of that team is Dr. Jenny Bren Miller. Dr. Jenny Bren Miller has studied the same product and found that it lowered blood glucose levels by 20 to 28%, blood insulin levels, insulin being the problem, 13 to 27%. And then it lowered the glycemic as well as the insulin index for every test food that they put in front of it. So immediately before your heaviest carb-loaded meal, you drink one of those. And that is literally it. It's 3 drinks paired with intermittent fasting. It is quite literally about the easiest thing you ever did. They offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you try the system and after 90 days you're not satisfied, you just call them and ask for your money back. They will give all of your money back, no questions asked. Simple as could be. It costs about $5.30 a day here in the U.S. If you're in Canada, about $5.30 US dollars. Around the world, that's about the price per day. You can't buy a cup of coffee for what you pay for this. So if you are interested in it, get with the person who invited you into this live stream, and they can tell you how to order it. They will give you their referral link. They get a little bit of a discount for doing so. And well, not a little bit. It's actually quite a bit, $10 off. And you get then a lifetime discount and your own referral link if you decide you want to refer it out as well. So with that being said,
one other payment option, if your physician, you can ask your physician, because this is listed in the physician's desk reference, ask your physician to look it up and then ask them to, if you have a health savings account or a flex spending account, if they write a letter of medical necessity for you to take this product, then you can get your health, rather than forfeit it, you can use your health savings account or flex spending account to pay for this product.
That is awesome. Look at Tanya Lee. This system has been what made the difference for me. I've reversed type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, off meds, down 45 pounds. I love her story. Okay, I'm going to bring James and Stacy both back in here. We're going to be a crowded family. There we go. And I'm gonna try and remember. Somebody asked about red wine. Could they drink red wine? And I'm going to take a crack at that because I definitely did. I drank a lot of red wine. If we understand that it is awful for your liver, you're harming your liver. Your liver does not like the red wine like you do. Red wine is a 0 on the glycemic index. I didn't have any sort of glucose spikes. I wear a continuous glucose monitor. I didn't see a difference in my sugars. However, know that it's awful for your liver. Doctor, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, basically alcohol, it generates a lot of inflammation in your body anyway. So when you drink the wine, it goes into your intestines, it disrupts your intestinal lining. It generates a bunch of inflammation. And it still has the end result on your liver, by the way. So it can drive you toward insulin resistance. So yeah, I would avoid it, honestly. It's something to be avoided if you can.
Doctor, I'll let you take this one. Julie asked, any negative side effects on blood pressure? And I know the answer, but you're going to give a doctor's answer.
Yeah. So it should be a benefit to your blood pressure in the end. If you take, now it's not going to be a direct effect of this product on your blood pressure, but if you take this product and then you're able to successfully abstain from eating processed carbs and sugar, then you're going to see your blood pressure start dropping. And so that's the idea. Sugar is way more of a blood pressure driving thing than salt is. We've been blaming it on salt for decades. One of the New York Times best-selling books, How to Not Die, the part on how to not die from blood pressure, he blames it, like everybody else, on salt, and he totally misses the boat. It's sugar. Sugar is driving our blood pressure way more than salt ever.
Well, and you know what I'm learning, doctor, is that we also blame saturated fat. We blame everything that isn't the actual cause.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, I don't see any other questions coming in. I don't want to ignore anybody's questions. So what I'm going to do is start wrapping it up. If you have a question, ask it while we're kind of wrapping up. And James, Stacy, this is an easy one for you guys. I kind of know Stacy's answer, but James, I don't know your answer. Skeptics. There are people that have been bit by that snake before, right? And they think, I'm not going to buy your snake oil. That's just cheesy, right? Somebody is sitting on the fence. They're listening. They just listened to Dr. Eric Akin. They just listened to 2 amazing testimonials. There are testimonials in the comment section. James, what do you say to that person?
Well, there's no bigger skeptic I know than myself. I mean, I was a conspiracy theorist. I beat the rush on that, years ago before everybody else did. I was very skeptical of anything. I had one experience with a similar type product format before, and it was extremely difficult to operate through. And I just did not get the results like I've gotten on this program. And Stacy, I just want to tell you thank you for sharing that about anxiety and depression. That's something that I've struggled with my whole life, and this product has definitely helped me with that too. So it's I would say what really sold it for me is the man and up here to my right corner when I got to know him and saw that the passion that he was putting into the product and to have the credentials that he had and to be able to care for my mother the way he did, it's just been a blessing. It's been a God thing for us to be together, and just try it. I'm telling you right now, it's worked on me when nothing else would, and I've tried every fad diet. I've got off of alcohol. I've been a year and a half sober. Nothing could get me healthier than what this is right now. It's not a weight loss thing. It is not a weight loss thing. It is a total wellness program. And the fact that it's listed in the physician's desk reference, it's got 5 patents on it. There are so many people involved in the healthcare industry who are in this. I mean, that's what sold it for me. So make it healthcare, not sick care. And that's really what I want to see.
That is amazing. And for what it's worth, I'm going to piggyback on your statement there. I've actually had the great pleasure of meeting Dr. Akin in person. I've shook his hand. He's a good man, and the passion is real. He didn't benefit at all from me. I absolutely got that same feeling from him. Stacy, same question to you. What do you say to somebody who's on the fence, who's thinking this is snake oil? What do you say to them?
Well, it does happen. People say that. I think people are afraid of change. And I try to let people know that I had no clue either. And I grew up I was born in 75. So we ate the sugary cereal. We ate Oreo cookies. We had Doritos. We had all that processed food, bologna, hot dogs, pizza. That's what I lived on my whole life. And that's the food I love. It's the food that I always ate. Not having any idea what the processed foods were doing to us. And it's understanding what's happening. It's doing your own research. It's knowing that when a label is full of those ingredients that you can't read, that you probably want to put that back on the shelf, because it's only damaging you. It's keeping you hungry, keeping you sick, filling you with chemicals, filling you with preservatives, and just keeping us in keeping big pharma happy. And sadly, it's just not taught properly. I don't know. It's not connecting. We're not getting those answers. Like, I've never been told if I fix my gut, the rest will follow. I've never been even said to try that. They said, just try one more of these orange bottles. Oh, try this one. Oh, no, you're angry. You're more angry. Okay. Oh, get off that right away and try this one. Now you're homicidal. They're like, get off that one now, and it's like a never ending battle. Not saying like, oh, what does your diet consist of? Maybe you want to try to do more whole foods and less of that junk. And then I could have found like this answer sooner. So I just would tell people to try to listen. I know it's hard to change your mind. Take the blinders off, put them on in the grocery store so you don't get the bad food, but listen to what people are saying. Do your own research. I learned from Google. I went on there and found the information about chlorogenic acid, about GLP-1. I didn't know what insulin resistance was. I've learned it all from listening to these people around us and doing my own research. And I have found through doing this myself that this worked for my body and myself, and I feel amazing. And nothing to lose. You have 90 days money back guarantee. It's not going to hurt you. It's all natural products. There is no interaction with other medications. So what do you have to lose? But a few pounds and maybe some bad attitude, maybe some diabetes. I don't know.
I'm gonna correct you a little bit. Nobody ever told me. Hippocrates told us.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
2,500 years ago.
He did. He did.
Hippocrates told us more than 2,000 years ago. I love this. And I do have a couple of questions. I saw the questions. Stacy, James, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and check these off. I'm going to have Dr. Akin answer these two questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Is that cool,
Thank
Doctor?
you, everyone, for
Absolutely.
coming. Bye, all my
guys-
friends.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it very
Happy
much.
Thanks for coming on, James.
Yep.
Bye.
All right. James, Stacy, see you guys. Okay. I saw this one in here. Lynette asked, how come you don't have to have surgery after losing a lot of weight? Now, I read this one earlier and I kind of struggled with it. I wonder if she's not saying sometimes people who lose a lot of weight have that excess skin, that is there, and it doesn't seem to be as apparent here. So, Lynette, I hope that's what you were asking. That's what I take from it, Doctor. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on how much weight you lose. If you get on this product and you then adopt a carbohydrate restricted diet or any of the other reasonable diets, like the Mediterranean diet, carb restriction is not the only way to lose weight, but it's a great way to start if you're insulin resistant. And then you can phase out into it. If you like Mediterranean food, then you can do that. It's actually considered the most healthy diet. But that said, depending on how much you lose, it's a cosmetic choice, really, whether you have the skin surgery or not. So,
and then I feel like I'm missing one. I don't know that this is a question for either doctor or myself. Is it tax if you have
a prescription? So you can't get a prescription for this. So this comes under something as a dietary supplement. Okay. So as such, insurance cannot pay for it. This was something we established a while back. And I think it was like Ted Kennedy that was trying to push back against the supplements. And so because of that, what went on at that time, dietary supplements will not be paid for by any federal tax dollars. And so the insurance companies tend to follow suit with that. And since this is a terrible competitor to the pharmaceutical companies and who are sort of in league with each other, I found out that United Healthcare is apparently on the board of the American Medical Association. By the way, so it's sort of an inbred system. So the deal is that what I would love to see is a randomized prospective study putting this product head to head with a statin medication like rosuvastatin, atorvastatin, and against the semaglutides and metformin even, and see what happens, see who wins, what are the best outcomes. And
Yeah. Well, you know what?
patients.
And I don't have, trust me, I've looked for this number, and it's hard to really pin down. But if you just went to Google and asked, what does metformin reduce blood glucose? Google tells you 10 to 20%. That's just what Google says. And clearly I can't find studies that, and I've looked. Maybe Doctor, maybe you can find that one. Trust me, I've looked. I can't seem to find that. And I did find what we do have is this right here. Where is it at? Here we go. Let me just share my screen real quick. And I know I'm getting a little bit long-winded, but this right here is a study that was done at the University of Sydney. Can you see my screen okay, Doctor?
Yep.
Okay. A study that was done at the University of Sydney, Australia. And in this study, they showed that 1 serving of BIOS Life reduced blood glucose by 20%, and 2 servings of BIOS Life, which is balanced, reduced it by 28%. Now, that was giving test patients white bread, which is a 100 in the glycemic index, and giving them either 1 or 2 servings immediately before, and that's what they observed was 20 to 28% reduction. So it's not a direct head-to-head, a clinical, a randomized clinical trial or anything like that, but it does give some interesting data from a very respectable place. Okay, Doctor, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Before I go, let me just throw out there real quick before I go. If you've been invited to this and you caught the tail end, somebody just said, just hopped on, just started 2 weeks ago, thanks to Stacy. I'm down 10 pounds and I'm feeling pretty great. I'm a success story, no more pre-diabetic. Somebody just said they were going to rewatch. And I can't find that comment. Where did that comment go? Anyway, that's a great comment because go back and rewatch this. If you've been invited into this live stream, go back and rewatch it. It was actually pretty powerful. I really enjoyed this one. If you want to order the product, get with the person who invited you. They will share their link with you. You order it, you get a lifetime discount from the manufacturer. You can cancel anytime. It's not addictive. It's nothing like that. It's just food. It's a science-based company putting out a food-based product. Doctor, what do you say? Final closing words here, brother.
This is, if you're looking for a solution to help you improve your metabolic health, that's going to be your greatest assist at getting control of sugar and carb cravings. And as a potential side effect, can help you to lose weight through diet. I want to be clear about that. Then this is it. This is what you want to try. Do the 3-month experiment. And she said already, you can get your money back. There's a spectrum of skepticism out there. It's a range. Some people are highly skeptical, and most of us are somewhere along down the line. Don't let the skeptics talk you out of trying this. Okay. That's the bad part about being too skeptical, is you miss out on great things sometimes. So this is a no risk thing. Don't let somebody skeptical talk you out of it.
I love that. Real quick, and this just led me somewhere. Donna asked, will it be posted anywhere? Yes, it'll be posted on my Facebook. I know that right now it's streaming on Dr. Akin's Facebook. It's also Dr. Akin on your YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes.
On my YouTube. But so, Doctor, how do people find you on your socials? What social media platforms are you on?
I'm under Eric Akin MD on Instagram and TikTok. And so you can just search me, Eric Akin MD.
There you go. And it'll be on your, it'll be there.
Yeah, and I'm certified I think on both of those platforms. So there's been some imposters, but I'll have the blue tick there.
And then you'll also see it on mine, the Healthy Pit Master. This is streaming right now on the Healthy Pit Master on X, Twitter. X, it's also streaming on the Daily Wire, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, it's out there. Find the Healthy Pit Master. You can go and watch it if you want to use. If somebody missed it and you want to share a YouTube video, find Dr. Akin's or my YouTube. You just share it out to them. If you have any questions and you want to order the system, maybe you stumbled across this live stream, reach out to Dr. Akin, reach out to me, and we'll find you a good home there. So, Dr. Akin, this was amazing. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
you bet. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's Turkey Day. I hope you guys are blessed, and we'll talk to you later.